Now in this video is when it's going to get really interesting, because you can really tell the versatility and the complexity of sherry just by looking at these bottles. All of these ones are made, at least these ones are made with a single same type of grape, which will be Palomino Fino, while this one it will be made with Pedro Ximenez, and this one is one of the blending type of wines that we'll be explaining after, which it will be, for example, in this case is medium, but there's also the type of cream, and then within these ones there's different variations. Okay, so we'll start with this one. This one is Manzanilla. Manzanilla or Fino are the palest and the driest type of sherries, let's say. So what's the difference between these two? So Manzanilla is basically, it's very simple. Manzanilla is aged in Sanlúcar de Barrameda. Fino is aged in Puerto de Santa Maria or Jerez de la Frontera. Okay, that's very simple in that sense. Now Manzanilla, it's very tasty. Actually, is interesting the difference between these two, because Manzanilla, it's more, the name comes from chamomile and saltiness, and the bakery notes is very strong, and all this is because in Sanlúcar de Barrameda the temperature is much lower than in the rest in summer, and in winter it doesn't get as cold, so it's very stable. And the layer of yeast that we were talking in the video before, the layer of yeast loves that type of humidity and temperature, so it's wider than in the other two cities. While in Jerez de la Frontera and Puerto de Santa Maria, they really have to be careful, so that layer of yeast always stays throughout the year with temperature and the humidity. Sometimes it gets so thin that there's a little amount of oxidation, but not really oxidation, but it's closer to the oxygen and making the wine slightly less pale than the Manzanilla, I would say. And it has more herbal notes. We talked about the Manzanilla and the Fino. Now we'll be talking about the amontillado. For me, amontillado is my favorite. My dog Monty here, he comes from, his name is called Monty from Amontillado. It's because it's my favorite type of sherry. It's not Monty. The amontillado is very interesting because it's a mix of both aging. So it's the combination of the biological and the oxidative. To be a good amontillado, and I'm going to be talking about that one, usually is until the layer of yeast. You know what we were talking about, the criaderas and soleras, how the wine has to go from one side from one criadera to the other. It's because it's not only to make it standardized. It actually, for the biological agent, it has another positive part, which is to keep feeding the layer of yeast with new wine. So the new wine is gonna keep bringing nutrients to the layer of yeast, so it keeps feeding on different nutrients. So it can be proteins, glycerol, alcohol. But the moment that it gets to a certain type of solera or criadera, if you keep passing it from criadera to criadera, at the end it's gonna have less and less nutrients, because that nutrient has been used by the criadera above, and that nutrient by the criadera above, that layer of yeast slowly degrades and decays and dies and goes to the bottom and gives all that complexity. So the oldest the Manzanilla or the Fino is, the more interesting notes and more bakery type of taste will have, and less fresh. And for the Amontillado, that it gets to a point that that layer of yeast disappears. It's not able to keep going on, and then that's the moment that you have to fortify it again. So for this one is to 15%, and then basically it's alcohol is added to get to 17.5%, and then kill that layer off. And then when that layer has died, then the oxidative agents start. Color starts changing, starts oxidizing, creating this type of color. So this one will be, so here we have a darker type of color. So we can see that the oxidation has started, and then basically now you will start smelling more wood aroma. So it will be more sweet type of notes. So you will have more like caramel, more nuttiness into it as well, more complexity, because you still have the remaining of the life of the biological, so you're still able to tell that bakery note taste, but then as well with the wood, so vanilla as well, that different sweetness. Now we're going to go for the next one. I'm going to skip this one because this one is a very complicated type of sherry and very interesting. So we'll go with the oloroso. So the oloroso, it's for this one it will have been, and even for this one, you use the first press of the grape. That's the finest of the grape, and it's more delicate, and the smell is smoother. However, for the oloroso, it's for the second press. So the second press is coarser, it has more body, let's say. So that's where when it's used for the oloroso. It has never passed, had to undergo an biological agent. It has always undergone oxidative agent. And you can see the color. It's very similar to that one, but it has more like type of red flecks in it when you look at it to the sun. And in this one, the aromas, it will be more nutty, more spicy. So for this one, you will be able to taste and to sense more cinnamon, more vanilla, more cloves, even a little bit. So these ones were all dry. For Fino, they usually put a line in the oak barrel saying, okay, this type of the first press of the grape, it's going to go to make Fino. But then suddenly, for the winemaker, once he comes again and tastes it again, then he realizes that it has changed. It's not a Fino anymore, so they do like the Fino and then they cut it. So palo, which will be the stick, and cortado, so cut. So it will be like cut stick, basically where the name comes from. And it's a very interesting one because this one, it will be the same high quality of the grape as for the Fino or Manzanilla, so the best type of quality, the first gemma. And that one then basically has suffered very little or none at all biological agent, however oxidative agent all the part. And this can happen because of the where it comes in the grape, in the skin of the grape from the country, or because of the environment of the oak that it doesn't allow the layer of yeast to grow on top, so it's not able to develop that layer of yeast, and the text and the taste of everything it's completely different. So that's why what they say is that it smells a little bit like the amontillado once it has aged, but in the mouth it's like an oloroso. So it's a very, very interesting type of sherry. Now we go with a very, very different one. So for this one is the Pedro Ximenez. So we were saying first you have the Palomino Fino. The Palomino are all the dry sherries, and then you have Pedro Ximenez, which is one of the sweetest wines in the world, together with Rutherglen Muscat from Australia, and they can reach up to like 400 to 500 grams of residual sugars. And so, in fact, one of the things that they say for the Pedro Ximenez to pair is in an ice cream, you can actually even pour it on top, and because of the sweetness, it won't feel bad. It's really, really good. So, and then on the other hand, we'll have, instead of the Pedro Ximenez, we'll have the Moscatel de Alejandría, which is a more type of, it's a very sweet sherry, but not as sweet as Pedro Ximenez, and instead of more like raisins, it will be more flowery type of taste. However, for these ones, you always ferment them. So you first ferment them until the sugar completely disappears, and then after it's completely disappeared, then it's when you add the alcohol to it. Now with this one, with the Pedro Ximenez, it's more similar to a port. You stop the fermentation by adding alcohol, and then that's why you have such a sweet type of sherry. Now where does the color come from? So the color is because it's not only because of the oxidation, which it is, but it's also because the grapes of Pedro Ximenez, they dry them in the sun during several weeks. And then what they do is the bunches of grapes, they move them every night, they switch them to dry them up. And that's why what it creates is a very, very thick, syrupy type of taste, type of texture. Now this one, it's then mixed with this one, or with this one, to create this blended type of sherries. So that one will be, for example, this one, the medium, or the cream. So the medium, and within the medium you can have like dry medium or sweet medium, and within these ones could be as well the pale cream and the brown, and we'll be talking about these ones. So the medium is basically when you have between 6 grams of residual sugar up to 115 grams of residual sugar. Above 115 grams of residual sugar, every time that it's a blend, it will be cream. Now for between 6 to 115 grams of residual sugar, you could have pale cream. For example, pale cream would be a Fino Manzanilla mixed with basically grape juice and and that would be the a type of medium, but pale cream tile. Then on the other hand, we have the famous Bristol cream. So the cream, yeah, actually was created in Britain, and it was because originally it was called Bristol milk, and Bristol milk, this name came from because they usually, the mothers, well, the people gave their children a spoon every time that the children started feeling sick or something like that, and it cured them. A producer started really working with it, and then decided to give it to a customer of them to taste. And so a new version of this Bristol milk. And then they tried it. She tried it and she said, well, surely if that was a Bristol milk, this has to be Bristol cream. And so that's where the name came from. And Bristol cream, for example, it was created in the UK, and it was actually a very complex mixer. So it mixed, for example, Fino, Amontillado, Oloroso, and Pedro Ximenez in a very, very exact way, and that's why it's so interesting. So with this, I've been able to at last film all the different sherries. I know because of different sounds and other things, I had to cut pieces of the videos, and that's why you can see that the glasses, you won't be able to see them as good anymore. Hopefully I've been able to answer all the questions that you have. I know that there could be other types of sherry maybe that you could be interested in, for example brown sherry or East Old India sherry or amoroso type of sherry, but they are not common anymore. So these are the ones that you may find most probably in your shopping mall, or in, if you come to Jerez, these are the types that that you will find commonly. I'll try to do other videos with different sherry terms. For example, what does enrama mean? What does VOS mean? VORS mean? And all these terms that could be confusing. But if we're getting started with this, should be enough. Hopefully, yeah, if you have any other questions, then please send me an email to info@explorlatierra.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. And if you come to Cádiz province or to Vejer de la Frontera, do not doubt to contact me, and I'll be able to show you all around. Thank you very much for watching.